This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin. Freakin.
I just didn't want to do this today. Like, the news is fucking depressing. The shit that I'm getting ready to tell you guys is fucking depressing. Been doing this shit since 2005. I've been reading the news. I feel like I'm not fazed by this shit anymore. No, it sucks. It sucks. We're fucked. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Troll Patrol. Live. It's a freaking Wednesday. No, unless you're Warlord, then it's Thursday. What we got planned for you tonight? Depressing news. Kids all over the country are going back to school. Depressing. Because we got fuck sticks. We've got Governor DeSantis just like threatening to cut funding on any school district that mandates masks or takes any kinds of precautions. It's insane. We've got Governor Lee in Tennessee threatening districts that try to take precautions. Twelve people are responsible for all or the majority of the vaccine misinformation on Facebook. Just 12 people. I can't wait to read that story. I don't think they named the 12 people, though. Fucking Abbott. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm sorry, Tones in Texas. Shit. At least the governor of Oklahoma has said he'll think about convening a special session to overturn the ban on mask mandates that he signed into law. I don't mean to laugh. None of this shit is funny. Several Disney employees were arrested, among several others. A whole host of professions arrested in a child sex trafficking sting. Child sex sting of some sort. Maybe not trafficking is the right word. I think when we get to the story, it's going to be more entrapment by the Polk County Sheriff's Office in Florida, whose sheriff has made the news quite a few times. He's well known on Fox and OAN and Newsmax. We got video of an NBA star being tased. A black man was charged in his own attempted lynching. You heard me right. This is what I said. This is fucking depressing. The man was the victim of an attempted lynching, and now he's being charged. I'm sure that's going to be some fucking bullshit. A TikTok star has died filming a video in their front yard. A YouTube star who doesn't seem to be that big of a YouTube star, but is trans, is making headlines, and I think that has more to do with it. They can try to slander the trans community. A brawl broke out on an airplane. We have wild video from that. Woke Agenda is preventing Tim Pool from having sex. Looks like he was appearing on Tucker Carlson. Now we're going to play a clip of Tucker, who was in Hungary. We're going to talk about why that's fucking wild that he's in Hungary. Apparently he's talking about media bias. That should be fun. Starting off tonight, For like the, 10th day in a row, this has been like, had to start off with the COVID stories. Now, I don't know when this is a clip from. I know that Walensky said this a couple of days ago, but finally, Dr. Fauci mentions it on ABC's This Week.
I think we have enough of the percentage of people in the country, not enough to crush the outbreak, but I believe enough to not allow us to get into the situation we were in last winter. But things are going to get worse. If you look at the
that map of Louisiana.
cases, the 7-day average.
It's like the I-10 corridor running from Baton Rouge all the way over into the panhandle of Florida. Holy shit.
100 million people in this country who are eligible to be vaccinated, who are not getting vaccinated. We are seeing an outbreak of the unvaccinated. There's some breakthrough.
Welcome, RB.
Vaccinated, you expect that because no vaccine is 100% effective. But in the breakthrough infections, they are mostly mild or without symptoms, whereas the unvaccinated, who have a much, much, much greater chance of getting infected in the first place, are the ones that are vulnerable to getting severe illness.
I am worried about children. Why am I the one worried about children? I hate kids. Fuck kids. No, don't literally fuck kids.
We're seeing the cases go up.
Be bad, as we'll find out later.
Saying over and over again, the solution to this is get vaccinated, and this would not.
If there are people out there who didn't already know that, we'll find out later why.
For the most part, pain and suffering for those that have not been vaccinated. I mean, the bottom line here isn't it, that there are breakthrough infections for those that have been vaccinated, but you are highly unlikely to either be hospitalized or to die if you have been vaccinated. Isn't that right?
That is correct, John. There's no doubt about that. That's one of the very important reasons you want people to get vaccinated.
Despite what Charlie Kirk and the other 11 purveyors of misinformation on Facebook may tell you. I'm just assuming Charlie Kirk is one of the 12.
Dying. However, when you have...
Maybe we'll find out when we read that story.
...getting infected, you're propagating the dynamics of the outbreak, which ultimately impacts everybody from the standpoint of having to wear masks, from the standpoint of the safety of the kids in school, from the standpoint of being able to open up everything the way we were when we were normal. So yes, from the standpoint of illness, hospitalization, suffering, and death, the unvaccinated are the much more vulnerable because the vaccinated are protected from severe illness for the most part. But when you look at the country as a whole and getting us back to normal, the unvaccinated, by not being...
Hey, I am not one...
...in the spread of the outbreak.
I am not one to talk about hairlines here. I pointed that out many times. I pulled down the bandana and revealed what it looks like. I'm talking to my friend on video chat. Like, I'm usually not wearing a bandana when I'm talking to him, and I'm like, God damn, I'm fucking bald. I'm gonna keep the skullet though, and it actually, like, people think I'm like hiding behind it, and I've explained the reasons for the bandana. I go out in public with my hair just pulled back. It looks really cool, even though like I have no hair in this area. It's cool. I slick it back and put it in a ponytail and shit. So not discriminate against bald people here.
Which ultimately impacts everyone.
Okay, but walk me through this this mask guidance. The CDC is now recommending, in certain circumstances, people that are fully vaccinated to wear masks indoors.
Never stopped.
You are highly unlikely to get either severely sick or to die if you have been vaccinated.
We just don't want to keep passing this shit around.
This recommendation of masks for people that are fully vaccinated and unlikely to get very sick.
Right. All right, masks for the fully vaccinated. The change and the modification of the guideline, which was formerly, if you were fully vaccinated,
let your bald flag fly,
to wear a mask indoors or outdoors. The change, as we know now, is that even if you're fully vaccinated, when you are in an indoor setting, in an area of the country that has a high or substantial degree of transmissibility, what we know is the orange and the red zones
I don't even like that he's making that caveat. Just
in fact are vaccinated. That has much more to do with transmission, John.
Yes.
In the sense of we know now that there are situations, as unusual as they are, but they occur.
this is wonkiness. He is correct.
Is 100%.
But in terms of messaging, it should have just been masked the entire time and never wavered from that messaging.
People will get infected. Thank goodness, for the most part, they will not get seriously ill. They will generally be asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic. But we do know now with this very difficult Delta variant, it's different than the Alpha variant in a very important way. And the important way is that it's much more highly transmissible. And when you do get infected, even if you don't have symptoms, the level of virus in the nasopharynx is quite high. And in fact, recent studies have shown that the level of virus in the nasopharynx of a vaccinated person who may not be symptomatic or mildly symptomatic is the same as an unvaccinated person.
1,000 times the viral load of the original.
Mildly symptomatic people who are infected can spread the infection. So you want them to wear a mask so that if in fact they do get infected, they don't spread it to vulnerable people.
We're almost out of time, but I want to ask you about the reaction we've seen from prominent Republican governors.
And we don't keep spreading it and let it mutate into something more deadly or vaccine resistant.
Republican Governor Abbott of Texas.
Apparently the Lambda variant
in Arizona pushed back strongly against the notion of
is somewhat resistant to our current vaccines.
From Governor Ducey.
It's still like, our vaccines are still something like 92% effective against it.
Vaccine mandates, vaccine passports, or discrimination in schools based on who is or isn't vaccinated. They are arguing that this is individual responsibility.
Right-wingers are morons.
What is your answer to these?
And that should be Fauci's answer.
The largest states in our country.
Well, John, I disagree with them. I respectfully disagree with them. The fact is, there are
He said it in a nice way.
responsibilities that one has, and there are things that have to do with you individually, which also impact others. And get the spread of infection that we're seeing now, the surge in cases, John, is impacting everyone in the country. So although you want to respect a person's individual right, when you're dealing with a public health situation, and we are in fact in a very serious public health challenge here with a pandemic.
People aren't acting like it.
That has an extraordinary capability of spreading rapidly and efficiently.
Happy back to school.
Person to person. So a person's individual
School started in my district today.
not wear a mask not only impacts them, because if they get infected, even though they say it's my decision, if I get infected, I'll worry about that. But the fact is, if you get infected, even if you are without symptoms, you very well may infect another person who may be vulnerable, who may get seriously ill. So in essence, you are encroaching on their individual rights because you're making them vulnerable. So you could argue that situation both ways.
You're encroaching on my right to not be able to go out and go to dinner, go to concerts. That I'm safe here in my apartment. I've been working from home long before the pandemic started. But I miss going out to dinner and I miss going to concerts. You're encroaching on my freedom by failing to contain this public health hazard and getting it over with quicker. Now, right-wingers' heads have been exploding over the fact that one of the NIH directors says that you should wear a mask around your kids.
Has the Delta variant increased the risk for young children? My daughter is 2 years old, doesn't wear a mask. Should we avoid taking her indoors in public?
It's clear that this variant is capable of causing serious illness in children. You have heard those stories coming out of Louisiana pediatric ICUs where There are kids as young as a few months old who are sick from this. That is rare. Certainly younger people are less likely to fall ill, but anybody who tries to tell you, you don't have to worry about it if you're a young, healthy person, there's many counterexamples all around us now. So yeah, you do need to think about it, and that's the reason why the recommendations are for kids.
Yes, if you have been out in a crowded area and exposed, you should wear a mask around your kid if you give a shit about your kid.
Mask wearing in schools, and that at home, parents of unvaccinated kids should be thoughtful about this, and the recommendation is to wear masks there as well.
Let me just follow up on that.
I know that's uncomfortable. I know it seems weird, but it is the best way to protect your kids.
But I just, again, want to fully understand if this is about protecting the kids from Delta, right? Or is it an issue of worrying that the kids could then pass it on to other people? Is Delta
both
making kids more sick? Are they getting sicker than they were? Is there any evidence of that from the previous variants?
There is suggestive evidence comparing Delta, and this is from studies in Singapore, in Scotland, in Canada, that in fact this is not just more contagious, but more serious in various age groups. It's not as solid as I wish it was. We don't have really enough numbers to be confident, but
to promote the general welfare.
Well, and I think you need to emphasize that then if you're seeing evidence of this, because that's a change, right? Before, the big concern was that the kids, could get it, pass it on to others, but by and large, they weren't becoming ill in great numbers and any kind of numbers that were causing deep concern. But now what you're saying is they can get sick enough that this is a worry.
It's sick enough they can be aware. It
yes.
was before, and perhaps it was
supposedly, according to the pro-life party, every life is precious.
Not so much filling up the hospitals. The average age has dropped significantly. And so now we're seeing, perhaps in this spectrum of illness, more emphasis on younger people, including kids. Again, I don't want to overstate the confidence that we have about whether Delta is more dangerous to children. The balance has not been fully settled there, but it's tipping in that direction.
All right. We're going to bring in CNN chief medical correspondent and rock and roll aficionado, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. We were hearing...
What? Oh my God! Yes, let's talk about this serious issue and then bring on Sanjay Gupta.
Professor, a couple of questions.
And talk about his love of music.
I want to follow up on the question Brianna asked about boosters quickly, because we just heard from Governor Edwards in Louisiana last night that 10% roughly of the patients in the hospital.
What do they think this is? The Troll Patrol?
Imagine there are people who are vulnerable, who are...
You just crack jokes in the middle of fucking serious topics?
You're saying you're not recommending boosters now for anybody. What would be the trigger for that, keeping in mind that it takes a while for those boosters to kick in and these numbers are going up?
Not high enough for this shit.
Well, what we look at almost every day is what is the evidence about protection from people who got immunized many months ago. The concern is about whether that starts to fade over time, and do you drop below a threshold where protection is effective. We watch closely the evidence in Israel, and you've noticed that Israel has now started offering boosters to individuals over 60. We don't quite see that in the U.S. data yet, but it's certainly possible that may happen. Again, I think we got to be evidence-based here. When you consider that hospitalization for somebody who's fully vaccinated...
No. We don't want to be evidence-based. We want to take our cues from Charlie Kirk and Brett Weinstein.
People who are fully vaccinated. So that is extremely unlikely, but you'd want to watch the trends. And we are fully prepared when the moment comes to be ready to make those recommendations for boosters if they're fully indicated. Got to keep in mind, though, Sanjay, this is something we have to worry about. The rest of the world is desperate for vaccines. And to the extent that we decide to go ahead with boosters for all Americans, those vaccines are going to not be able to go other places where they're also needed. So we got to think about our whole planet here, too.
Yep, because... if we let it run wild in other countries, it's going to produce another variant that might be vaccine resistant. We need to get this under control and just not let it run wild. The number of school-aged kids testing positive is skyrocketing. As most Tennessee school-aged children return to the classroom, the number of children testing positive for COVID-19 over the last several weeks has quadrupled. Who didn't see that coming? According to data posted by the Tennessee Department of Health for the week of July 12th, 2021, there were 864 school-aged children who had tested positive over the 14 days prior to July 12th. I just don't see how we're not in crisis mode by the end of next week. How do we not have fucking half the country quarantining because they sent their kids back to school? I don't see how that doesn't happen. Three weeks later, the number of school-aged children testing positive the last 14 days is now 4,025, according to data posted for August 2nd. School-aged children are those between 5 and 18 years old. The largest age group for cases is the 14 to 18 group, followed by the 5 to 10. But hey, you know, good thing we've got politicians like Governor Ron DeSantis to lead us in the right direction, right? Do the right thing.
People are going to be free to choose to make their own decisions about themselves, about their families, about their kids' education, and about putting food on the table. And Joe Biden suggests that if you don't do lockdown policies, then you should, quote, get out of the way. But let me tell you,
the Biden administration is not suggesting lockdown policies. Yet, at least, we are seeing rhetoric from the right to try, I guess they think it's coming. Are you sure that when the kids start getting affected, the attitudes will change? Are you sure? I don't know. We had a protest here in my city against mask mandates where they don't have a mask mandate. Today, they protested today at the school board that isn't mandating masks. What the fuck? What the fuck?
if you're coming after the rights of parents in Florida, I'm standing in your way. I'm not going to let you get away with it. If you're trying to deny kids a proper in-person education, I'm going to...
Have you noticed that he is picking up like Trump mannerisms? Holy shit! Notice the way he's doing his hand. That's very Trumpian thing to do. The red tie with the navy, is he like going full on like wannabe Trump? Is he gonna grow his hair out and have like the waft, the front? Holy shit!
Stand in your way, and I'm going to stand up for the kids in Florida. If you're trying to restrict people, impose mandates, if you're trying to ruin their jobs,
He did the like.
If you are trying to lock
When Mr. Garrison became Trump, he called it like the pussy hands or whatever. My pussy hands. I do too. It's going to be a shame that it's going to take kids getting sick. But like, I'm just freaked out by how he's went to a fucking coach to teach him how to do like the Trump hand mannerisms. This is not coincidental now. I'm not making this up. He went to a coach to pick up the mannerisms.
If you're trying to deny kids a proper in-person education, I'm going to stand in your way, and I'm going to stand up for the kids in Florida. If you're trying to restrict people, impose mandates, if you're trying
He did the pussy hands.
jobs and their livelihoods and their small business, if you are trying to lock people down, I am standing in your way, and I'm standing for the people of Florida. So why don't you do your job?
Wild.
This border secure, and until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you.
Wow. Holy shit.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yeah, it did. It got clapped for. You're right. Hold on. We're gonna see more clapping for insane shit. Who's talking to Biden? Or do you mean like what crowd was he in front of? I don't actually know. Birmingham Film Fest would require vaccination proof, but they are blocked by Alabama law. One Alabama festival would require proof of vaccination for entry at indoor events, if not for the recently adopted law saying state and local government entities cannot issue or require vaccine passports. You say Trump's not president, but like I just showed you where the dude who was probably the front runner for 2024 was literally copying Trump's hand gestures. I think that is the kind of pertinent political commentary that people tune into this show for. Chloe Cook, the executive director for the Sidewalk Film Festival, which takes place August 23rd through 29th, said her team is excited to return to indoors after converting the event to a drive-in format in 2020. But it's a bit tempered because they won't know for sure if patrons inside the theaters are vaccinated. I would be much more excited to be back in the historic theater district if we were in a position to ask our customers if they were vaccinated, so that we could assume everyone that they were going to be in the safest possible environment with only other vaccinated audience members. In Alabama, that isn't an option. Well, because Republicans hate local control as well. In May, Governor Ivy, who is running for re-election, Governor Meemaw is her nickname, Governor Ivy signed into law a bill that says that state and local government entities cannot issue or require vaccine passports. Another one of the stupid buzzwords that Republicans have latched onto to try to make toxic. The bill says businesses cannot deny customers goods or services or deny entry into their places of business because of vaccination status or because of lack of documentation of vaccination status. In other words, no government, school, or business in Alabama may demand that a constituent, student, or customer, respectively, be vaccinated for COVID-19 or show proof of his or her vaccination for COVID-19. And while all of Alabama is in the red for transmission, it is the southern part of the state, from Baton Rouge all the way over to the panhandle of Florida. Researchers say 12 people are responsible for most vaccine misinformation online. We've got a little piece here. Let's watch it.
Mark. If you've ever wondered why I dubbed someone an influencer on social media, this story should clear up any confusion, as it's about social media, the vaccine, and how 12 people with that checkmark have been responsible for 73% of COVID vaccine misinformation that is spread online.
They've got a lot of sway and a lot of pull because that is how those kind of ecosystems are set up.
Sam Jay is an associate professor of communication studies at Metro State University in Denver. Wait,
who are the 12?
Influencers. Let's make his lighting better.
I think it's more kind of one-on-one dialogic communication that is really effective in this case.
Much better. He says those influencers are so influential in what they do for two main reasons. Their names carry weight and the things they post are easy to digest.
Convenience is such a good word there, Dan.
Easy to digest. Republicans break shit down into like bumper sticker sayings that sound clever and sound to uneducated people that don't know what they're talking about correct. It's a propaganda tactic.
Right? I think it's easier for us to find those shortcuts. It's easier for us to find somebody who does the thinking for us. And so that's why we've glommed onto these 12 folks, because again, right, like you pointed out, they have credibility. Those are names that we recognize.
It's not hard to see why. Those 12 people have a group following of more than 59 million people and were therefore identified by the nonprofit Center for Countering Digital Hate as the Disinformation Dozen. After analyzing 812,000 Facebook posts and tweets, the CCDH found 65% of them had come from these 12 people, which include a physician who embraces pseudoscience, a wellness blogger, a religious speaker, and a bodybuilder.
Evolutionarily, you know, and as animals, right, that negative, right?
I want to know who they are. We all know their names, don't we?
You know, those messages, they circulate faster, and I think...
or maybe we don't.
To kind of break that cycle.
So what do we do about it? The CDC and nearly every other scientific institution has championed the vaccine as safe and effective. Even some governors of conservative states where vaccination rates are lower have changed their tune and started supporting it as well. Jay says there needs to be a change in dialogue, more face-to-face stuff where emotion can be felt, and a change in thinking that maybe the science isn't lying.
We kind of need to rethink how we're doing this, because at that kind of 30,000...
How do we convince people that the science isn't lying when there are Republicans
has a more hands-on approach,
making money?
It's studied that Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube
all of this bullshit.
These 12 people from their platforms, saying they're influencing people with misinformation at a pivotal point in the pandemic. I'm Dan Grossman.
I'm upset that it didn't tell the 12 people. I'm going to look and see if we can find that out. But speaking about spreading misinformation, Marjorie Taylor Greene at a Republican event, she was cheered when mentioning Alabama's low COVID vaccination rate. Attendees at a recent Republican fundraiser in Dothan, headlined by Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, cheered at the mention of Alabama's low COVID-19 vaccination rate. Okay, this actually took place on July 23rd. They kicked out the media.
One more thing on that. You lucky people here in Alabama might get a knock on your door, because I hear Alabama might be one of the most unvaccinated states in the nation. Well, Joe Biden wants to come talk to you guys.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
He's going to be sending one of his police state friends to your front door to knock on the door, take down your name, your address, your family members' names, your phone numbers.
One of Joe Biden's police state.
Social security number, and whether you've taken the vaccine or not. Yeah, well, what they don't know is in the South, we all love our Second Amendment rights. And we're not real big on strangers showing up on...
By the way, a dude was arguing with me on Facebook, tried to accost me, said I wouldn't come down to his house and call him a moron to his face. I assured him I most certainly would. And he should call into my show tonight. I then, he was a cowboy, and I photoshopped a picture of him, and I went and posted it on his page, and he blocked me. Yes, I'm back on Facebook. I've been back for like a day. I'm already causing this kind of fuckery. Doesn't he look so cute? Yeah, he acted all tough, but now he's got to block me because I hurt his feelings with a Photoshop picture.
On our front door, are we? They might not like the welcome they get. Let me tell you something else that makes me sick. We have a man that no one elected. You didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for him.
Okay, I couldn't possibly leave Facebook because there's so much dumb shit. I love arguing with people on Facebook. That's what this show was supposed to be about. If you see the Justin Freakin up in that corner, am I pointing the right way? There we go. Up in that corner, it's the Facebook symbol. This show was made, like, that's why it looks the way it does. Because it was made to fucking, like, I was going to scroll Facebook, and I was going to troll people live, I was going to make fucking Photoshop pictures like that. And we were all going to have a fun time, but I kept getting banned on Facebook, so I started reading the news instead, and we turned into this. Because if I was doing a news show on Twitch, I wouldn't have called it the Troll Patrol. Oh, but it's a good name. I just couldn't do the original concept because Facebook keeps fucking banning me.
I'm not talking about Joe Biden. I'll get to him in a minute. I'm talking about Dr. Tony Fauci. We didn't vote for him. He makes more money in the federal government than the President of the United States. Don't forget, President Trump never took a paycheck, everybody. Right? But Joe Biden.
Oh my God.
Dr. Tony Fauci funded with your tax dollars. He funded it in the Wuhan lab.
No, he didn't. This is vaccine this is COVID misinformation. Please, YouTube, don't take me down.
That is his experiment, and he's getting to watch it in the real world.
He certainly didn't.
Like a live television show where he has the front row seat.
Oh my God, that's Barry Moore, Congressman Barry Moore.
Your tax dollars might.
That's who I was trolling when the dude fucking threatened me.
A virus that was spread between animals, and it was changed into a virus that spread between humans.
I gotta cut her off. It was the end of it anyway. Alabama is tied with Mississippi in having the lowest percentage of fully COVID-19 vaccinated residents in the nation. Woohoo! And my district went back to school today. But now, speaking of misinformation, a judge is actually taking some steps to smack down some election misinformation. Federal judge sanctions lawyers who challenged the 2020 election result, calls the claims fantastical because they were.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yes! And you said some really stupid shit in court, and now it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. Federal judge in Colorado sanctioned lawyers who challenged the 2020 presidential election results, calling their election claims fantastical. U.S. Magistrate Judge in Reed Neuterman. I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to laugh at your name. You're a reader. Shit. I'm sorry. Eater. Read the reader. Read the reader. In Read the reader. U.S. Magistrate Judge in Read the reader. Issued an opinion today sanctioning Ernest Walker and Gary Fielder over the lawsuit, which the judge said is the stuff of which violent insurrections are made. Well, he was just a liberal commie, right? In short, this was no slip and fall at the local grocery store, albeit disorganized and fantastical. The complaint's allegations are extraordinarily serious and, if accepted as true by large numbers of people, are the stuff of which violent insurrections are made. I did that on purpose. I didn't actually have to attribute that quote to him. Nurreader wrote. The suit at issue was filed in December and alleged that officials in 4 states conspired to steal the election from former President Trump. Meanwhile, I alluded to this the other night. It is official as of this afternoon. Trump seeks to block the Treasury Department from giving his tax returns over to Congress. We got breaking news from MSNBC. Let's listen to it.
Demanding a federal judge block the Treasury Department from handing Trump's taxes over to a congressional committee.
I just said that.
Williams, Pete, it's not a surprise. We knew they were going to fight this, but what can you tell us specifically?
Well, what they say is that there's no legitimate purpose for Congress to have these returns, that Congress's stated purpose is just a pretext. The Committee on the Ways and
You might be right. Neurotter.
How the IRS audits the returns of presidents, but the President Trump's
My apologies to Mr. Neurotter.
Not any other president's returns, that they didn't ask the IRS how it audits presidents, and so that's just a pretext. And it says that ever since
I did like. I hope that didn't come across as me making fun of his name. I was just having a hard time saying it, and it was making me giggle. I wasn't actually making fun of his. I go to great lengths to try to actually pronounce stuff correctly. That's one of the things, like, you know, when I was doing prepackaged news reports, I, you know, would look up words that I didn't know, but like I'm just reading shit cold on the air right now, and sometimes that happens. Neurider. Read Neurider. Possibly.
the Democrats have been trying to get their hands on his
rolls off the tongue.
And that didn't diminish after he got elected. Let me quote you one line from the filing this morning. It says, the Chairman Neal of the House Ways and Means Committee, sought President Trump's tax returns and return information because his party recently gained control of the House.
God, he's so ugly.
Trump was and is their political opponent.
I don't want to make fun of anybody's looks, but Trump is fucking ugly, and I'm tired of looking at his mug.
For all those reasons, they say the court should not honor this request from the...
That's why I wish you right-wingers would fucking get off his nutsack so I could quit looking at his fucking face.
Statute that says if Congress asks...
Good evening, Cricks.
...it should get them, and that's the end of the matter. What the Trump lawyers say here is that never before has that authority been...
Yes, he's always looked like a doofus.
...any elected official, much less any president or former president. So for all these reasons, they say the judge should block this request. The Justice Department will respond to this later.
Most legal experts are saying that stands no chance. It's going to get knocked down. It's just going to be a couple more weeks before we actually know what's in his tax returns. Because you know it's going to leak right away, right? I don't think it is a coincidence. He's always been a shithead. But, like, I will say, like, going back and watching shit from the 80s, he did seem to be smarter. I don't know if he's just playing up the dumbness now, or if he legitimately has, like, retarded over the years. I wasn't using that as a slur. That was a proper word, I think. Representative Devin Nunes is... Speaking of... No, can't do it. Devin Nunes... The very litigious Devin Nunes, who sued a fucking cow on Twitter, is now suing NBC Universal for defamation, citing comments made by MSNBC host Rachel Maddow in March regarding his dealings with an individual sanctioned by the U.S. government. He got fucking triggered by the news. Lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court in the Eastern District of Texas and alleges that Maddow and the network harbor an institutional hostility, hatred, extreme bias, spite, and ill will toward Nunes. My God, if I was the lawyer in this case, I'd walk into the courtroom and say, yes, we all harbor an institutional hostility, hatred, extreme bias, spite, and ill will toward Devin Nunes. Have you met him before? Just listen to him talk. The congressman's lawyers, he's not in Congress still, is he? Whoa, he's still in Congress? Whoa! This is blowing my mind. Apparently he never left Congress. No, it says till 2019. Apparently his district changed or something. Says he's 22nd district until present. I am so confused by this. Serving as the U.S. representative for California's 22nd congressional district. Holy shit! I thought he left Congress. My bad. Well, he knows he hasn't got a fucking case, especially if he's still serving in office. Congressman's lawyers argue that Maddow's criticism of Nunes are based on his emergence as the most prominent skeptic in Congress of Maddow's marquee news narrative that the Trump campaign colluded with Russians to hack the 2016 presidential elections. The suit specifically takes issue with statements made by Maddow during her show on March 18th, during which she suggested that Nunes refused to turn over a package he had reportedly received from the suspected Russian agent to the FBI. Congressman Nunes has refused to answer questions about what he received from Andriy Durchak. He's refused to show the contents of the package to other members of the intelligence community. The lawsuit quotes Maddow as saying on her program. He's refused to hand it over to the FBI, which is what you shouldn't do if you get something from somebody who is sanctioned by the U.S. as a Russian agent. Nunes and his attorneys claim that the network knew that the California lawmaker had told other reporters that he had given the package in question to the FBI, and MSNBC failed to ask him for a comment. Still not fucking, like, defamation. Oh. Speaking of idiots in Congress, Mitch McConnell was walking up to a podium to give a statement. I think this was yesterday. Watch what happens to Mitch McConnell as he walks up to the podium to give a statement. You guys are going to enjoy this. You see McConnell back here? Turtling his way up to the podium. Chucky Schumer! The turtle did not win the race.
The prerogatives of the majority.
Elections have consequences, McConnell.
Well, you all remember what they used to say about Chuck over in the House. You never want to get between Chuck and the camera. Just had a first-hand experience with that. I must say he was quite good at beating me to the microphone.
It's amazing because if you go back to the way
that was a fun little moment. Also a fun. Okay, I said everything was depressing. We've had a couple of fun stories. This is a good one. Democrats seek $500 billion in climate damages from big polluting companies. Democrats in Congress want to tax Exxon, Chevron, and a handful of other major oil and gas companies, saying the biggest climate polluters should pay for the floods, wildfires, and other disasters that scientists have linked to the burning of fossil fuels. Draft legislation from Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland directs the Treasury Department and the Environmental Protection Agency to identify the companies that released the most greenhouse gases into the atmosphere from 2000 until 2019 and assess a fee based on the amounts they emitted. Fantastic. That could generate an estimated $500 billion over the next decade, according to Mr. Van Hollen. Seems a little on the low end. The money would pay for clean energy research and development, as well as help communities face the flooding, fires, and other disasters that scientists say are growing more destructive and frequent because of a warming planet. Bill for the largest polluters could be as much as $6 billion annually, spread over 10 years, according to the draft of the plan. You know that's a huge issue for me. I don't understand how these companies can lay claim to a natural resource. I think energy companies should be nationalized, first of all. And we should be reaping the profits from energy companies. Like in Alaska, how they give citizens rebates. Now, Joe Biden has a plan. So you know it's going to work, right? Joe Biden's plan to take on the obstructionists in Congress that are trying to stop the voting rights passage. His plan is to call out for out-organizing voter suppression. Civil rights groups have accused President Joe Biden of empty platitudes on voting rights after he defended the filibuster as his administration reportedly shifts focus away from passing major legislation and toward a push to out-organize new Republican voting laws inspired by former President Donald Trump's false claims of election fraud. In unusually forceful rhetoric, Biden has compared new restrictions in Republican-led states to Jim Crow-era racial vote suppression and called the onslaught of legislation to limit ballot access the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. But in the eyes of many activists, he has refused to follow up those words with actions. Last week, Biden forcefully defended the filibuster, which has prevented any voting legislation from advancing in the Senate. VP Kamala Harris, who Biden tapped to lead the administration's voting rights efforts, has increasingly focused on boosting Democratic National Committee funding for voter registration and legal efforts, even as a recent Supreme Court decision has made it less likely that Democrats can sue to overturn new restrictions. White House officials have sent mixed messages, reportedly telling voting rights groups that it is possible to out-organize voter suppression. God damn it, we're tired. We're tired of having to keep fighting the same fights over and over again. This is the reason why the progressives didn't want Biden in the first place. We elected you to do a job, sir. And if we're going to organize to make sure that you are not in office past 2024. If you'd like to read the rest of this article, it's from Truth Out. It's called Biden's Calls for Out-Organizing Voter Suppression is Insulting, Say Activists. Published yesterday. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon had some words for Elizabeth Warren. Apparently, she attacked banks on overdraft fees, which, you know, I think even Fox viewers are going to agree that overdraft fees are bullshit. But Jamie Dimon may think differently.
JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon commenting on the recent clash with Senator Elizabeth Warren over overdraft fees. I want to ask you about policy because you had a little testy exchange with Elizabeth Warren the other day.
Mr. Dimon, how much did J.P. Morgan collect in overdraft fees from their consumers in 2020?
Well, I think your numbers are totally inaccurate, but we'll have to sit down privately and go through that.
These are public numbers.
And I also want to point out we did not overdraft.
Can you just answer my question?
Answer it. Tell us.
We did not overdraft at the Fed account, and at any.
That is weird for her to ask a very simple question that he could have put a number to. And he didn't have the balls to fucking answer it. Started accusing her of not knowing what she was talking about. That's weird.
So you never, I'm sorry, Mr. Dimon, that was not the question.
And she said, how much did JPM collect in overdraft fees, You said the premise of the question was wrong. She said she had the number, $1.463 billion.
How is the premise of the question wrong, sir? It's a very simple question. How much did your bank collect in overdraft fees?
Does that change anything? Did you make a change on overdraft fees?
We've made, first of all, there are sometimes legitimate complaints about banks and what people do and how we do it. And we've changed overdraft and fees and charging over an extended period.
Whoa! 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 We'll come back to you, Jamie Dimon. Thank you, Tones. The story about the misinformation on Facebook that we were talking about earlier. Facebook has taken action, but not against the people spreading misinformation. Facebook has shut down the personal accounts of a pair of New York University researchers and shuttered their investigation into misinformation spread through political ads on the social network. Facebook says the researchers violated its terms of service and were involved in unauthorized data collection from its massive network. The academics, however, say the company is attempting to exert control on research that paints it in a negative light. More depressing fucking news. I don't know what we do about social networks. Because, like, you know, producer Dave and I had a discussion about it, and, you know, I'm like, well, nationalize them. Like, well, I don't want the government to have control over the information. Like, I see the point. I see the point. I want something that's open source. Can we do that? Possible, right? But if you have a platform that is completely open source, it's not going to have the algorithms that allows people to buy advertising and make money off of their posts. If you had an open source network, you wouldn't have astroturfed influencers. There you go, RB. A more correct way of asking that question. How much profit does your bank make from overdraft fees? But apparently they had the information, like, public. And she had the number. Diamond didn't like hearing the number.
And we always look at something like that. So I've asked the people to look at it again, go through in detail. A lot of competitors are making changes, and we may be a day late and a dollar slow, but if it's appropriate, we're going to make a bunch of changes. We will do what's competitive.
What do you mean? You're going to eliminate overdraft fees?
I don't know about that. Remember, there's a huge benefit.
I don't know about that. We make a lot of money from that.
Again, take a deep breath. We do real analytics. People who bounce checks, it often costs them a lot more than the overdraft fee. And for example, if you ever not paid a ticket, they double it. If you don't pay a government bill, it's probably more than $34. It hurts your rating.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that we charge people that don't have money more money.
Not have a knee-jerk reaction.
It's a debt trap.
More friendly, and of course, as you know, we give people more and more things for free. Online bill pay, ATMs just can do a tremendous amount of stuff. Digital banking, free trading. So it's not.
You know what would be great if we had a banking system through the post office that didn't have your predatory practices. But I'm assuming you've spent a lot of money to fight against that kind of plan.
One thing we look at the whole product continuum when we do something like that.
Yeah, it's not a major piece of business, Dagan, but of course, Senator Warren wanted to put it out there to really shine a spotlight on the major banks during that exchange.
Right. She thought it was going to be a political win for her.
I'm assuming it still is. Even the viewers watching you right now are thinking that overdraft fees are bullshit because they've been hit with them.
What do you think?
Well, I think she failed too. I mean, this is an example of, in some ways, these symbolic.
Of course, your bougie asses think Your bougie asses think she failed.
Important part of our economy. I think in this moment, she absolutely failed to do her job. I think Jamie Dimon did a good job holding his own. But I do think that people.
He did?
this issue. We see a lot of people have concern about a lack of transparency.
She asked a very straightforward question.
With fees, and I think if they address that, that's the big.
And he gave a bullshit answer.
He was talking to you about, look, there's a lot of people who say if you don't pay your parking ticket, it doubles. You get a fee if you're late. What are we supposed to do in this instance? And I think it's really for them about framing this not as predatory, but as this is just appropriate if someone misuses their account. What are they supposed to do? And I think it's a fair question.
It's just appropriate. I can't imagine. I mean, it is Fox Business. We were watching Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business. So I'm sure the clientele is more affluent than other channels. But still, someone that's, making $100,000 a year has still probably had overdraft fees. And they know exactly what banks do. Like, you had a deposit come in, but the deposit doesn't come in before all the debits to your account. Like, you have a deposit on Friday afternoon, you spend some money on Saturday, thinking, oh, the deposit's going to go in first. No, it doesn't. They debit your account first, and then hit your deposit on the Monday morning, so you got an overdraft fee because of it. I'm sure there are plenty of people that are watching Fox Business that have had that happen to them. That's why you need to do the hit piece on Elizabeth Warren. She made a very good point. Apparently, with Chris Cuomo, I always confuse the Weinsteins, I always confuse the Cuomos. Chris Cuomo, the CNN anchor, is under fire for covering for his brother, Governor Andrew Cuomo, the fucking creep. CNN anchor Chris Cuomo had a very normal show on Tuesday night. Among other issues, Cuomo interviewed former U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams, spoke with the mayor of Miami Beach about Governor Ron DeSantis' COVID-19 response, then talked to Vermont's top public health official about its best-in-the-nation vaccination rate. One thing he didn't even remotely touch was the bombshell report by New York Attorney General Tish James, finding that his brother, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, sexually harassed and groped, kissed, and hugged without consent several current and former female state employees, as well as members of the public, nor Chris Cuomo's own involvement in the story. Plot thickens. We're reading from Vice, by the way. Though CNN had previously disclosed and excused Chris Cuomo's involvement in his brother's inner circle, as the three-term governor tried desperately to explain away the accusations of sexual harassment earlier this year, the report found new information about the extent of his involvement, including that he helped the governor's team craft responses to the allegations in late February. One case, an email attributed to Chris Cuomo and sent to former Cuomo Chief of Staff Josh Valstow, mirrored a statement made by Cuomo just hours later. CNN did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Vice News. In May, when the Washington Post first reported on Chris Cuomo's involvement in the governor's response, the network admitted that Cuomo's conduct was inappropriate and said that he would not participate in such conversations going forward, but declined to discipline the anchor. I don't know about discipline. Andrew Cuomo was defiant and indignant in a Tuesday press conference. During the release of the report, categorically denying some of the claims and excusing others, he also released a response to the report, which included dozens of pages of photos of himself and other politicians kissing and hugging people. Yeah, I think there's a lot of creepy politicians that should keep their hands to themselves. Joe Biden! President Joe Biden called for Cuomo to resign on Tuesday, and State Assembly Speaker Carl Hesty said the body would begin impeachment proceedings, as it appears unlikely that Cuomo will actually quit, because of course he won't. Right-wingers are morons, even when there's a D out from their name. Tucker Carlson apparently thinks that he is not part of the ruling class. He is doing a show this week live from Hungary, which has a problem with a dictator that's very Trumpian-like. His name is Viktor Orban. Some might call him a fascist. Tucker is there apparently doing some sort of documentary for like Tucker Carlson Today or whatever his fucking streaming show is called. But he's been doing his primetime show live from Hungary. Comes on at like 9, so I assume it's the morning in Budapest.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight, we're coming to you this evening from Budapest, Hungary, right over the Danube River. It's a place we're going to be telling you a lot about in coming days. If you care about Western civilization and democracy and families and the ferocious assault on all three of
Whoa, most of the people that watch your show are going to say, we're not a democracy, we're a republic, blah, blah, blah. I care about democracy, Tucker.
those things by the leaders of our global institutions, you should know what is happening here right now. But more on that to come, a lot more. First night, though, we're continuing to follow the bizarre and very fast-changing guidance on COVID from the White House.
Bizarre?
I told you the last administration was incompetent. We've never seen...
Well, they were. We know for a fact they were incompetent.
It was just a week ago.
And apparently, Tucker was one of the ones that was leaking stories about how incompetent Trump was.
Strain of COVID. Walensky described the so-called Delta variant as, quote, one of the most infected.
The so-called Delta variant. Wow.
Your career. An internal CDC document summed it up in martial terms. Quote, the war has changed, wrote the CDC. In response to those horrifying developments, the administration immediately re-implemented indoor mask mandates.
Horrifying developments that made the governor of West Virginia want to pee and throw up.
American news media asking questions. Wait a second. If the vaccines work, why the masks? So they started digging, and they didn't have to dig much. On Friday morning, the Washington Post ran this headline, quote, vaccinated people made up 3/4 of those infected in a massive Massachusetts COVID-19 outbreak. Pivotal CDC study finds, end quote. The New York Times ran a similar piece. Again, it was based on numbers from the CDC. And yet just minutes after those articles appeared, the White House panicked. A senior member of its COVID-19 response team, a man who is not a doctor, but instead a career flack called Ben Wanaka, jumped on social media to attack the media, and in fact attack the administration's own scientists. Here was Wanaka's message to the New York Times.
Yeah, that was a weird tweet.
In all caps, as if he was shouting, quote, vaccinated people do not transmit the virus.
I saw, and this is bad. This is bad messaging. This motherfucker works at the White House. He is wrong.
I call the Washington Post coverage of it irresponsible, and he added this, quote, let's be clear. If 10 vaccinated people walk into a room full of COVID,
No, that's not what the data says.
9 of them. But is that true?
No.
The one who was not a doctor, but instead of flack, did not provide a citation for that statistic. And in
But
fact,
also, like, do you know who is also not a doctor? Tucker Carlson.
to be wrong. In other words, it is classic misinformation, possibly Russian in origin. And yet, strangely, Ben Wanaka, who knows much less about science,
Russian in origin, he says, is he's sitting in a fascist fucking country.
he just kept tweeting. And then a few hours later, he got backup support from Rochelle Walensky herself. The vaccine works, Walensky shouted. In fact, it works so well,
vaccine does work.
To get it.
Are you for mandating a vaccine on a federal level?
You can't mandate it on a federal level.
I think the administration is looking into. It's something that I think we're looking to see approval of from the vaccine. Overall, I think in general, I am all for.
You can require federal workers to have it, military, anyone that attends a university, a public school, and that should be done.
Honestly, as people are doing that locally, those are
Any company that has a federal contract, you can do that. That's the way you can mandate it, but you can't just mandate everyone take a vaccine. There's no legal authority for that.
Minutes after she said that,
Rochelle Walensky went on Twitter to take it back. Quote, to clarify, there will be no nationwide mandate.
Well, there can't be.
To mandates by private institutions and portions of the federal government, end quote. But of course, that's not at
Seriously.
all what she said. She said, we're looking into a federal mandate nationwide. Then on Sunday, the head of the NIH...
Well, I just explained the ways that the government can mandate a vaccine.
explained that those, quote, mandates by private institutions...
You have to be stupid to watch Tucker Carlson and
think as a public health measure
think he's correct.
For more businesses to require vaccine credentials in order to have vaccinated customers.
Yes.
As a public health person who wants to see this pandemic end, yes, I think anything we can do to encourage reluctant folks to get vaccinated because they'll want to be part of these public events, that's a good thing. I'm delighted to see employers like Disney and Walmart coming out and asking their staff now to be vaccinated.
So is Tucker against private industry doing
NIH with 45,000
whatever the fuck they want? I thought that was his position.
Or if they're not, to get regular testing, which is inconvenient. All of those steps, I think, are in the right direction.
Who is this old fool? Employers asking their employees to get vaccinated? They're not asking, they're requiring them as a condition of employment.
Good.
Mandate. Just
You know who has a vaccine mandate? Fox fucking News!
That's the message from the head of the NIH, who still has not explained to what extent his agency funded the development of this virus in the first place. Okay.
Tucker Carlson is 100% vaccinated.
No, that even if you have been vaccinated, you can't go back to your normal life. The vaccine is perfect.
He wouldn't be in Hungary right now if he wasn't vaccinated.
For example.
I promise you that.
Why? Because the possibility a handful of people who aren't vaccinated may be hurt. Quote, if there are 100 people, Collins said recently, how are you really going to be sure about people's vaccination status? On the other hand...
I was under the impression that this clip was a media critique. I thought we were done with COVID tonight.
Did not explain, by the way, how unvaccinated people could possibly pose a threat to vaccinated people. Because remember, the vaccines work so well...
Whiny fuckface. That's a very good description.
But at the same time, people who have been vaccinated are threatened by those who don't. You following this? Does it make any sense to you at all? Do you need a medical degree to know it's complete nonsense? No, you don't. Here's one thing you should know.
Tones, those stories. Like, I have so many of those in the reservoir. Like, I don't even know where to go with those stories. Of just people that are like, I wish I'd taken the vaccine, like a couple of days before they die.
Climate change, by the way, is right on the ocean. Pearl Jam will perform. Steven Spielberg has been invited. There will be 200 staff. Why 200? Because when you're as oppressed as Michelle Obama is, you really can't have too many servants. And she doesn't. 200 is not too many.
A GOP official from Texas who regularly espoused anti-vaccine and anti-mask views online has died from COVID-19 5 days after posting a meme on Facebook questioning the wisdom of getting inoculated against COVID. So congratulations, H. Scott Apley, 45 years old, from Dickinson County. Dickinson City. Sorry.
So it turns out Martha's...
Yeah, the Obama birthday thing, but like,
Parts of Washington, D.C. have already been given a pass. We know that because Mayor Muriel Bowser delayed the implementation of her mask mandate long enough to celebrate her own birthday party. Dave Chappelle came, dozens of others did too. And then after the mask mandate...
I'm sure they were all vaccinated.
Bowser, who is the mayor and can do whatever she wants, officiated a wedding at a high-priced hotel in a...
I mean, it's not good for public...
Now you'd think all of
messaging,
of equity and diversity, and the hypocrisy would.
I understand why they thought they could do it,
but they weren't
because they were following guidelines. They're all vaccinated and shit.
To defend her no matter what she does, so they did.
I'm not going to defend her on the
violating the new rules.
Image you're putting out to the public.
I think that is fair to say. I mean, I look at the photo and I see it. It seems like it could be during the
because it scares me to go outside because I'm in fucking Alabama. It scares me to go out to a rip. But if I knew I was with a group of people that were all vaccinated,
can you imagine? You're a news network And you're taking your airtime to defend the hypocrisy of politicians, because why? Are they paying you, or you feel a moral duty to
You were up Trump's ass the entire administration.
So where does this lead? What does civil rights mean when they're not enforced across the board? When your rights are given to you based on who you vote.
And see, lockdown.
They're privileges. And that's exactly what's happening. In fact, it's happening around the world. Rights that
Are lockdown orders coming in the next couple of weeks? It doesn't seem like that's where we're headed.
As a former prison colony, increasingly it's looking like it once was. The Australian military is now enforcing martial law. People are not allowed to leave their homes. That's because of a COVID outbreak this summer that led to a grand total, get your pencils, of 9 deaths. 9 people died of the virus, and they're shutting down Australia. And
they're getting it under control, which is what you should do with the deadly virus.
Justification for this? No, but they're doing it anyway. The Anglosphere committing suicide collectively. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States, Great Britain. What do they have in common? They speak the same language, they have the same culture, and all of them are allowing COVID to defeat them. In Australia, people not allowed on the beach.
Letting COVID to defeat them, they're actually taking measures to fight back against it, you dumb fuck.
As this channel has just been banned on YouTube in Australia. Why is that? Well, Sky News Australia reported that outdoor mask mandates and universal lockdowns may not be necessary to defeat COVID or very effective in defeating COVID.
Based on what?
Is far from settled on those questions, and they're right. It is far from settled.
No, the Yale study said it definitively that yes, lockdowns are not required if, and that's a very big if. Other measures are followed, like mask mandates, you dumb fuck.
It's obvious to anyone who's watched the Biden administration berate its own scientists on social media this weekend. The science is not settled. Science rarely is settled, in fact. It's a process of seeking the truth.
I believe so.
As a political directive, just because the person in power tells you something doesn't mean it's, quote, science.
I know it's a far-right loony network.
Defends that person exempting himself from his own rules does not make that science. But rather than admit this obvious truth, the truth that almost all Americans understand intuitively, the people running our government, including the public health establishment, which they employ, panic. How long until they're kicking us off beaches and locking us in our homes? Will we be allowed to complain about it when they do?
Of the current pandemic, and I want to share some very
Let's move off of politics. Let's go to the crime and punishment section. By the way, if anybody might have seen me say it on Marsha Blackburn's page, I wished Obama a happy birthday on Marsha Blackburn's page. That's the only reason I did it. Fuck Obama, fuck his birthday party. I just wanted to trigger some dumb fucks on Marsha Blackburn's page. Oh my God. And then like some woman came up and was like, happy birthday, Trump. Or happy birthday, President Trump. I'm like, God damn, he's not the president and it's not his birthday. You people are deranged. Polk County, Florida. 17 people from across Central Florida have been charged. Operation Child Protector, a 6-day undercover investigation into child predators held by multiple agencies. According to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, 16 suspects from around Clewiston, Davenport, Kissimmee, Orlando, Polk City, and Zephyr Hills. One was a visitor to the area from Los Angeles. Sheriff Grady Judd, who you guys should be very familiar with. Let's see if we... Motherfucker over here.
Lodge.
Yeah, this motherfucker right here.
He's 26. He left his girlfriend, who was 7 months pregnant with his child.
He is a well-known face among right-wing propaganda. So I've got to actually wonder, is this legit? His department is corrupt as fuck. Sheriff Grady Judd said all of them intended to engage in sexual activity with what they believed were children, but instead they encountered undercover officers who were posing as children online. Now, you're still a fucking creep if you think you're talking to an underage kid, but like, this is entrapment. These people would not be arrested if it wasn't for the activities of the office. I feel like this is a violation of their rights. This is dirty as fuck. Judd said these are nasty, nasty, nasty people. And when we go through this, understand that obviously we can't even use the words they used. We obviously can't show you the pictures and video clips that they sent to what they thought were 13-year-old girls and little boys. Yeah, I do not think law enforcement should be doing this. Because there's a major difference between fucking someone trying to groom a child and just being confronted by what they think is a, well-developed 13-year-old. Shit. Absolutely, they're still creepy. But fuck. I hate cops. No one to root for in this story. Among these suspects were several employees at Disney World. One couple, Savannah and Jonathan McGrew, wanted to engage in a threesome with a 13-year-old girl and roleplay as step-parents and stepdaughter were in a shoplifting situation. Both suspects worked as custodians at Walt Disney Hollywood Studios. Very good point. They're acting in ways that actual 13-year-olds wouldn't. Another suspect, Kenneth Javier Aquino, was a lifeguard at Disney Animal Kingdom Lodge, who Judd said left his pregnant girlfriend to have sex with someone he thought was a child. Judd said he was dressed in his work clothes when he came to the undercover location. He's a Navy veteran, the sheriff said. That's right, he was working toward a dive team or a SEAL team, or some kind of special ops job. They did a background check on him and found he had friends or affiliates that were gang members, and they tossed him. Judd said one suspect was HIV positive and that he intended to have unprotected sex with the girl, although he didn't identify which one. I'm suspicious of the cops. Because, as I've said a million times, cops lie. I'm also not pro-creep either. You want to talk about civil rights violations, Tucky? That seems like one to me. That's another problem. Hey, they were doing creepy things and people aren't going to want to come to their defense because they were doing creepy things. But in all honesty, in the eyes of the law, like, they got the shaft. Jackson Hayes, who I don't know who this is. Police are now launching an excessive force investigation after video shows Hooper tased. I don't know what any of this is. Hold on. TMZ Sports have obtained a video showing the controversial arrest of New Orleans Pelican center Jackson Hayes An incident LAPD is now investigating for possible use of excessive force. Clip starts with 21-year-old Hayes, the number 8 overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft, tussling on the ground with 3 police officers who are attempting to control and cuff Jackson. One of the cops presses his taser against the Pelican center's chest and shocks him. Check out the video here.
Stop! Stop! Get your hands off him now! Stop! I seen this whole thing. Stop! No! No! What is that? What is that? Stop! Stop! Bro, they just
What the fuck?
And Jackson said you can't go inside. They started touching him. He pushed him around, and that's when he tackled Jackson. He just tackled Jackson out of nowhere.
Back up!
What's your badge numbers?
Bro, you're gonna end up back there like.
What's your badge numbers? Okay. That's my friend right there. I'm
I don't care. Back up!
What's your badge numbers? Stop.
And see, look out, look out.
I'm filming. Stop.
The nerve of these cops. It was a nice fucking house. They thought they could just go in and do whatever the fuck they want. Do you not realize these motherfuckers have money? It's a shame that that's the way it is in the U.S., but if you got some fucking money, you can make cops pay. Hayes was ultimately taken into custody around 3 a.m. before being treated at a local hospital. He was charged with resisting arrest and posted a $25,000 bond. Excuse me. How can he be charged with just resisting arrest? What were you arresting him for him to be resisting? That you can't charge someone with resisting arrest without another fucking charge. Tuesday, Los Angeles PD Chief Michael Moore announced the department launched an investigation into the arrest after Hayes' alleged force was applied to his neck, causing him difficulty breathing. It's important to note the video we obtained starts with Jackson on the ground and the taser against his body. TMZ Sports did not edit the starting point of the video. However, what happened before the video starts rolling is critical because cops say Hayes is the ones who started and escalated the physical confrontation. Well, of course the cops said that. But it appears that the cops were at his house. Police claim that when they arrived on the scene, Hayes attempted to enter the home despite their commands before he ultimately shoved an officer, injuring him. Body-worn video captured Hayes repeatedly attempting to enter the residence despite officers blocking his path and verbal commands for him to remain outside. Why? Why? Why were you blocking his path? Why were cops involved in this? What the fuck did he do? Because if that wasn't his house, and you had gotten a call that he didn't need to be there, why wouldn't he be charged with trespassing and resisting an arrest? I smell bullshit. I have a feeling we got another one where we're going to smell bullshit. I don't know how graphic this one gets. A black man who feared 4th of July lynching has been charged. I guess we've got the video of the
Let him go.
attempted lynching.
Please, let him go. Please let him go. We're going to as soon as you let him go. I'm going to. Guys, get the out of here. Let him go. Get your phone out here and go. Let him go. Shake your head at me.
What the fuck?
We're worse than the police.
You happy about this?
We're totally worse than the police. The police couldn't even prove. You happy about this? You nappy headed. You happy about this?
What do you really want me?
Do it. You nappy headed.
What do you want to call me?
About this? You with your 5 white friends.
Did the chick say we're worse than the police?
You guys started all this. You put it in your film. Film it. Film it all. Yeah, come over here again. Come over here again. Film it. This sucks. This sucks both ways, guys. Come over here again. This sucks both ways. No, it doesn't.
What's their deal though?
Just like when you guys invaded us. No one invaded. You guys invaded us. We were having a great time and you invaded us.
Invaded us?
Liberal. That's what you get. Take your ass on.
Stupid liberal. See if we can get to the bottom of this. A black Indiana man who claimed a group of white men threatened to lynch him during a 4th of July confrontation last year is now facing criminal charges himself. Vox Rush Booker of Seymour was charged Friday with felony battery resulting in moderate bodily injury and misdemeanor criminal trespass in the July 2020 encounter at Lake Monroe that attracted international media coverage. What? Less than 2 weeks after the incident, prosecutors charged 2 white men following a thorough review of evidence, including video footage of the alleged attack. Sean Purdy, 45, of Pittsburgh, was charged with criminal confinement with bodily injury, battery with moderate injury, and intimidation. Harry Edward Cox of Danville was also charged with inducing or causing criminal confinement and battery, as well as 3 misdemeanors. Booker, an activist and member of the Monroe County Human Rights Commission, said last July in a detailed Facebook post that 5 men accused him of trespassing on private property and pinned him to a tree, as one of them said, "Get a noose." Monroe County prosecutor Erica Oliphant did not file charges against Booker before passing the case along to a special prosecutor, despite a 68-page Indiana Department of Natural Resources report that recommended charging all 3 men. The report determined evidence justified battery and trespassing charges against Booker for allegedly punching Cox and Purdy, as well as for returning to the private property where the fight took place after being escorted away. It looked like they were on a trail up in the hills. What the fuck? Booker denounced the charges against him as racially motivated. There's nothing more American than charging a black man in his own attempted lynching. Booker, 37, said he intends to fight the charges he now faces a year after being allegedly assaulted, which his attorney characterized as unprecedented, and a response to him not going along with terms of a proposed reconciliation plan in the case. Clearly see he's pinned up against a tree. Was it private property? It looks like it's a trail up in the woods. The FBI announced last July that it was investigating the alleged attack against Vox as a possible hate crime. Vox Booker. I've never seen a prosecutor open a new case and file charges a year later, attorney Catherine Liel said of special prosecutor Siona Lerkamp, who charged Booker after Oliphant recused herself from the controversial case. An online petition signed by more than 1,300 people calls for the charges against Booker to be dropped and for Lerkamp to resign. Booker reportedly faces more than 3 years in prison and up to $15,000 in fines if convicted. I don't know what evidence they have because we saw the video. The case against Cox and Purdy, meanwhile, is still pending and no trial date has been set. They claim Booker instigated the encounter, according to the Indiana Daily Student. Wow. All right, so this is a weird story. I don't know anything about anything with this, but I've seen multiple people talk about it. I've seen memes about it. So we're going to find out what's up together. YouTuber Christine Chandler arrested on suspicion of incest. The content may be upsetting to some readers. I will hit the content warning again. Christine Weston Chandler, the YouTuber known as Chris Chan, has been arrested on suspicion of incest. Now, apparently, Chris Chan has like a YouTube channel that has 50,000 subscribers. Nothing to sneeze at, but that's not exactly relevant. So that has been why I've been wondering, is there an element of transphobia to the fact that this story has been all over the place? I've seen memes about, like, when I don't understand a meme, I start feeling old. I mean, I'm almost 40. I am kind of old. But I've got to... Of course I want to watch the dumbest thing that I'll see all day. Right after we do this story, but do post it. You absolutely want to watch that. Of course. But I've seen all these memes all over the place, so I want to get to the bottom of exactly what the fuck this is. Chandler39 is the founder of the Sonichu and Rosachu webcomics, being held in the Henrico County Jail in Virginia. I fucking feel old. I slept on the couch wrong last night, and I had to fucking stretch out on the floor this morning. Police detained the YouTuber who maintains a channel with 50,000 subscribers on Sunday after a leaked phone conversation spread online. The authenticity of the recording hasn't been confirmed. In the 8-minute audio, someone purporting to be Chandler tells her friend about having sexual relations with her elderly mother, Barbara, who is believed to have dementia. That's what I'm thinking, is people have been harassing this poor... I don't know what pronouns to use. They go by he, right? Person said to be Chandler begins by stating the incest fanatics or the incest fanfics have come true, before claiming that we've been doing it every third night since the 27th of June. The shocking recording was posted on Kiwi Farms on Friday, alongside a text said to be from Chandler, which read, "Barb and I just had another romp in the hay." Message and audio immediately went viral online, making Chris Chan a trending topic on Twitter. There's drama in the air today, Chandler tweeted on Friday. Each and every one of you, all encouraged to withdraw from any and all dramas, gossips, rumors, whatever else will and already has approached your way today. Their final public post before Sunday, when a live stream from the alt-right podcaster... See, I knew it. This poor YouTuber has been more popular in right-wing circles, mocking them, than they have on their own channel, and that's, oh my God. Alt-right podcaster Ethan Ralph appeared to show Chandler's arrest outside a hotel in Charlottesville. Press release, the Greene County Sheriff's Office confirmed that they received information involving sex crimes against a family member on Saturday. An investigation led to an arrest warrant being issued. Engaging in sexual intercourse with one's father or mother is a Class 5 felony in Virginia. That's not the problem. Like, the incest is not the problem. It's the taking advantage of somebody with the dementia. This whole thing is, wow. Past 13 years, Chandler, who according to Newsweek came out as trans in 2016, has become well known for her outlandish behavior online. It's often piqued the interest of trolls. October 2011, she and her mother were arrested after her mother hit the manager of a game store with her car, paid a fine and underwent community service and a year probation. In 2014, Chandler was arrested and barred from GameStop after she maced an employee who had asked her to leave. She was charged with assault, given a 180-day suspended jail sentence. It sounds like somebody that really needs love and guidance and psychiatric care. This all sounds horrible. And I don't know that I would have done this if I'd read the story before. I think it's kind of disgusting. People are making memes of it. The whole thing is I don't even know who that is. Oh God, is this going on right now? It already happened. Oh shit. Oh, let's do it. Let's plug it in. This is the California recall debate.
Because they're in charge.
This should be fun.
Specifically, business wants to open. We need to reduce the LLC filing fees that they have to pay to the franchise tax board. Business wants to hook up to utilities. We need to stop the excessive charges for connecting to utilities. Business wants to hire independent contractors.
Honey, businesses use more of utilities than anybody else. They should pay more for it than everybody else.
AB 5 and make independent contracting available to these companies. These are simple things we can do along the way. I want to go back to something on the audit question of...
Way to say you hate workers.
Because one of the things we're dealing with...
I don't know who you are, but you're a piece of shit.
Continue to pay out money to people who rightly should be back at work. We need to stop paying people to stay home. We need those people back at work. There's two parts to this question. The first part dealt with the companies. The second part deals with getting people to work there.
Thank you. Assemblyman Kiley, we've got a legislature that hasn't done some of these basic things that the congressman just outlined. How do we get the legislature to work with you as governor to make California more attractive, A, for businesses to move into California, and B, to keep them from leaving?
Well, I'll say, first of all, that a lot of the damage...
So, Winch, what's your assessment? Like, this recall is going to fail, right?
California state agencies, and that's where a lot of the damage is done. They churn out regulation after regulation and entangle themselves more and more in our lives every year. And so as governor, you could bring new leadership. You could give all of these state agencies, CARB, the Water Board, the EDD, the Department of Public Health, a new directive to actually serve the people of California. Don't harass them or harangue them or try to run their lives like a lot of them do. But ultimately, in order to have sweeping change, and so yes, I would try to roll back those regulations.
This dude has been studying Ben Shapiro.
Sweeping change, you need to get the And the thing about the problem that you've...
In most cases, independent contractors are a way to screw workers. Like, I work as an independent contractor, and I prefer it. But that's just because, like,
departments who can tell them
me, and I'm in a specialized field.
Lawyers on staff who can help them reduce litigation risks. It's small businesses who ultimately pay the price, and we saw that more than ever during the COVID shutdown. As powerful industries like Hollywood were exempted from the lockdowns, while small businesses die in droves. So I would immediately work on things like rolling back PAGA, which is a huge impediment, is a huge litigation risk for businesses, certainly repealing AB 5, and doing a systematic review of every regulation that needlessly makes it so difficult to do business in California.
Mayor, how were you able to keep businesses from leaving San Diego, and what would you do as governor?
Look, you're right. People are leaving California. They're voting with their feet.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
That they're going to.
The replacement rate in California has been like the same. It's held steady.
I'm not surprised to see that.
I will put pet pics and pet videos. That is an awesome idea. That is going in the Discord. I will work on that.
Because people are voting with their feet. And for the first time, we lost population last year. We lost a congressional seat, of course, because of these...
Winch, I think I asked Dave the other day, and, I think he was drunk, and he's like, ah!
Make it more affordable for a
what do you think about the recall? It's going to fail, right?
California. We have a governor and a legislature whose sole solution for virtually any problem is they want to raise taxes and send more money to Sacramento. Voters said no this past cycle when they came out with the largest commercial property tax increase in the history of California. And the reason the Californians said no is because we've gotten to that point that says enough's enough.
Well, it's because the business is paying their bills.
It's crushing our families. It's crushing so many entrepreneurs that we are so proud of.
And I hate when they say small business. They don't mean small business.
Support our businesses, stand up for doing the right thing, not moving forward with any of the tax increases that this governor and legislature continue to want to foist on California.
Thank you.
The recall succeeded. Like they got enough signatures in order to like go forward with the recall election. I don't think Newsom is going to lose.
In California, we got businesses leaving left and right. It's because we put career politicians, celebrity, and insiders in control of the state. A lot of
Who the fuck is leaving? Joe Rogan left. Is that what you're talking about?
And they're the most popular governors in the country because they focus on the problem and they focus on solutions. So what are we going to do?
John Cox can suck a dick.
The housing crisis in the state. A lot of businesses have told me they're leaving because their employees can't afford to live in this state. And it drives up their costs and it drives up their salaries. We're going to cut taxes, as I just talked about. We're also going to talk about changing our legal system. The loser pays. Texas has done that.
It's always the same thing with these fucks. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to slash regulations. We're going to make it easy on business. Blah, blah. That's all they've got. Guys,
2, 3, 4 times
you motherfuckers.
pay in other states. They will not keep.
Yeah, let's bring
we need to cut the cost of electricity.
Bring Winch on here.
More sources. We also need to make sure that we have water. The agricultural industry is important to the state, but we also have to make sure that people can afford the water in this state. We're going to have rationing next year, and it's wrong because we're sitting next to the largest body of water in America, in the world.
Thank you, Ambassador. I'm going to turn to that subject, water. The North Coast is already parched by drought. Drought has returned to many parts of California, and just yesterday, the State Water Resources Control Board issued an emergency curtailment authorized by Governor Newsom that will devastate the Central Valley, the farmers, and the hundreds of thousands of people who work for them. I'll start with you, Mayor Faulconer.
Winch, are you with us? Media Winch.
Devastation to the agricultural businesses.
Stop them, because agriculture is so incredibly important to our state, our community. We're so proud of agriculture in California.
Media Winch.
Central Valley's not just the breadbasket for California. We're the breadbasket for the nation.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I had it set up right.
Not done a thing to increase water supply in California. I was in Fresno just last week talking with our farmers who are seeing all of their allocations cut to virtually zero. We need to increase our supply. Specifically, we must move forward on projects that are already on the books, but this governor and legislature
I have not seen Chinatown.
because he's letting the far left environmentalists stop him from doing it. What am I specifically talking about? I'm talking about Sites Reservoir and Temperance Flat. Those are two big things that we need to do for our Central Valley farmers.
I don't know what he's talking about.
That's not going to ignore the Central Valley. They deserve a governor that understands how important water, resources, and new supplies are. We did some of that in San Diego.
Oh, God, it's been so long since I've seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I don't remember who it was.
You've got to put your elbow into it. We've got to increase our supply. If we don't, why do we expect...
That was like my favorite movie when I was a little kid.
We have drought conditions. We have to have...
I'm going to have to watch that again.
Mr. Cox, what will you do about the emergency curtailment order yesterday for the Central Valley farmers and the, again, hundreds of thousands of people who work for them?
I would countermand it, and I'd immediately talk about getting us more.
Yeah, how are you going to talk about water without talking about conservation?
These insiders that we've had running this state
and the depletion of our water table. How do you frame water as a matter of business?
Israel has turned a desert into an agricultural paradise. And why? Because they've done desalination, and they've done it at a fraction of the cost of what we have done in California. We have underinvested.
Do we have that technology to do desalination?
Central Valley into the
I did not know that.
We produce 85% of the eating oranges. We have more dairy than Vermont and Wisconsin combined. We have more cattle than Texas. We need to make sure that we have water for the future.
Well, yes, California is a huge fucking state.
We need water every single day. It's the staff of life. So we have terrifically underinvested. And why? Because we've listened to the insiders. I'm an outsider. I'm not
because like you're beholden to big business and you do what they say.
About common sense solutions, and that means desalination. That means building more
I'm back.
Oh, we got a media winch.
That does not.
Hey.
Wow, you sound amazing. Let me back you down a little bit.
Devastation brought about either on the North Coast or in the Central Valley by water cutoffs.
All right, cool. It's got ducking is already set up and everything. Awesome. You're good to go.
Oh, nice. Fucking these people are idiots. All of these people are fucking stupid, Justin.
Okay, so who's your money on? The Ben Shapiro wannabe that's talking right now?
My money's on fucking Newsom, dude. He's just gonna get reelected.
That's what I'm thinking. This whole recall thing was for naught, right?
It's a fucking waste of time. It's the same fucking stupid shit that these idiots up in Shasta County are fucking bitching about. It's like, it's not my way, and I didn't get what I wanted, and so I'm gonna and waste a bunch of fucking time and money, and the same fucking outcome is gonna happen. And these people just need their own island that we can hit with an RPG.
Well, I think what it is like, one, it's lucrative for them. They can raise money, and they get to grease all their buddies' wheels.
That is literally the only reason to do it. That is literally the only reason to put some fucking idiot like Micro Machines Man up on a fucking stage in front of people that think that they're gonna run and succeed against Gavin Newsom for fucking California state governor. There's either he or definitely not he, because he doesn't even look smart enough to run a grift on his own. Somebody behind this idiot is funding him, that's taking in millions and millions of dollars of fucking donations from other idiots for nothing. It's just a grift. That is what the Republican Party has become, is just one big fucking party full of fucking grifters.
Well, from an electoral standpoint, it is actually kind of smart of them. They keep their base ginned up, and they have something to run on.
These fellas, they know
And poor, keep them poor, because like donations.
Oh yeah. Well, that is part
like if
of
you're
it.
not
It's
making
pulling
them,
together.
if you're not making your base like vote against their own interest in perpetuity, then what are you really doing with your campaign?
I first advocated for when I was in Congress.
You should be a Republican strategist.
Fucking fuck these people. I am so mad. I was like, all I could do is just smoke weed to keep my life equal. That's all I could do, is just keep myself high and numb and just in front of my spreadsheets at work so I don't go up and fucking just go postal on something. I swear to God, it's so fucking frustrating. I have like and then my brain just has so many things it wants to say at once, and I just go, fuck these people. That's all I can muster.
So how long have they been on? Have they been on for like an hour?
Huh? I don't know. I like came home from work and fell asleep in a chair, and then I got up because I was tired of the dogs sniffing me and fucking just like it just came in my office to just, I don't know what I was gonna do. It was 6 o'clock, I think, almost. Yeah, so I was gonna watch me some Sister Subaru and see what's floating on. Probably watch Walking Dead over again. And
you let that
Facebook
puppy sniff you. That's what puppies are good for.
They're not puppies. They're all.
Who's this asshole?
I don't fucking know. I don't know who any of these people are.
How many debates are they having?
They keep talking about, and the people in the chat keep talking about this Larry Elder dude, and he's just he does Facebook lives in a robe, like a big cushy robe that looks like it's from some fucking like extra expensive hotel. And that's supposed to be relatable to the people of California, who are the type of person who want Gavin Newsom recalled. Are you fucking kidding me?
Kind of make me want to go put my robe on.
Assemblyman Kylie, let's
I have a robe that I got in San Francisco Chinatown like fucking 20 years ago, and it's like one of those like kimono type robes. It's black and it's purple. It's reversible. It's got a phoenix on it. It's fucking sick.
Oh, nice. See, I've wanted something that's like silky that I can wear during the summertime.
Oh, so when you come to visit, we should definitely take a trip to Chinatown so we can go get you a silky kimono.
I want a silky kimono, yeah.
The most fair thing.
Because mine's big and fluffy. Like, it'd be really hot if I put it on.
Yeah. No, these are not. These are not.
an appointment at all. I would leave it up to the voters.
It was like $60. It's like, it's heavy. It's like 4 pounds of silk. It's fucking heavy.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I don't go for the, there's like the touristy ones, and then you got to go that are like in the front of the shop, right? Because that's how far they only swim in. You got to be like a local and go to the back and like check out the racks in the back. That's where they hide all the good shit.
I learned that about Hawaii. You can get a good, you get one of those touristy Hawaiian shirts. They suck ass.
Saying that no.
Yeah, they're all scratchy. They shrink when you get them home.
Or Gavin Newsom cannot serve the remainder of Kamala Harris's term before the term expires.
These people are just stupid.
What the hell is he talking about?
I don't know. I can't hear him.
Going through the state legislature, and what it's doing is you're going to have two.
If I turn my audio on, it's going to go through to the
United States senator.
Oh, am I not sending audio back down to you?
Next 6-year term.
Oh, my bad.
Last month.
Then you've got no way to respond to this.
All too typical of what happens. is we try to shut voters out in every way possible.
possible U.S. I don't know what that.
I can fix that. Why? Where do I fix it at?
I don't know.
All right, very interesting. Mayor Faulkner, the Newsom campaign has repeatedly called this a Republican recall driven by Trump supporters. They fought to even get that language on the ballot.
They did.
I'm wondering, for you, we know that
They fought to get that language on the ballot. Yes, they did.
2020. After January 6th, are you still a Trump supporter?
There we go. Now I can hear it.
And would you want him to come campaign for you?
Well, look, first and foremost, what happened on January 6th was abhorrent to our country. To have folks storm our Capitol, to attack our Capitol police officers, that was wrong in every way imaginable. We want to have those folks held accountable, and I think that's incredibly.
Do you? I don't feel like the Republican Party's position is what he's saying.
On the head, by the way.
No, me either.
Is make this all about Republican or Donald Trump. What he doesn't want people to do is talk about his failed record and what's not happening here in California. And I've been very.
I thought Newsom had a pretty good record.
Partisanship right now. It's about leadership.
Yeah.
And it's about leadership of a governor who has failed.
You see, all of this is all just about the fucking mask mandates, right? That's all this is about. Is people are just fucking pissed that Newsom enforced the mandates that the CDC recommended that he enforce as the governor of a large and highly populated state.
Well, it's coming to a head again because there's new mandates in California right now, right?
Oh, I know. And I'm going to be super fucking pissed because they're going to cancel my goddamn show that I wanted to go to on the 14th to see fucking Periscope at the fucking Caravan. I'm fucking livid. This shit is fucking stupid. All these fucking Becky McRuiners are going to just get, like, I wish I could just infuse my entire hand with vaccine and just fucking slap vax people. Like, when they start arguing with me about a mask, I'm just going to find them and just slap a fucking vaccine into them.
Ashley Vaccine Hands.
It's a bunch of syringes, like, instead of scissors.
Yeah, you're like the Wolverine of vaccines.
Just shoot them out. Fuck. I'm fucking tired of this shit.
I know. We could be over this, but no.
But no.
That when they broke into the Capitol,
These fucking assholes.
This guy looks like the worst.
people on the spot. I want to be absolutely.
He looks like the bad guy in a kid's movie.
Oh, that's what Tones was talking. He kept saying Doug Oos, and I was like, "Who? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? That's this dude's name, Doug Oos."
Work in the Capitol.
How do you say it? Do you know?
I don't know.
Figure out how to work with Lorena Gonzalez. She's the most powerful politician.
I'm going with Doug Oos.
Branch of the
Doug Oos.
Figure out how to work with her. That's what I do. I mean, everybody on the Democratic side's terrified of her.
And how do you do
Duggos. Duggos.
I sit down and go, Lorena, you got kids.
Doug Oos is better, isn't it?
You got people in business. I got people in business. How do we work together? Let's find something we can work together on. Same way I did it in Congress.
Mr. Cox.
I don't like you business people. Can we get people that are just public servants and not business people?
Fundraiser and chose not to come, but
Doug Goose.
He wants the
Goose
wage to be zero in the state. That the minimum wage should be zero. Do you agree with that? And do you support the current minimum wage of $15?
Well, that's stupid.
That's hella stupid.
In 2018, he said I would be a great governor. for the record. Listen, I think
I don't think anybody cares.
but I think he's right from the standpoint that I think the free market is a much better judge of what wages should be. But I think getting back to the problems of this state, we've got too much government and too much regulation. We've got too many times where government has inserted itself into business like that. And, you know, I grew up a Democrat. I became a Republican because Ronald Reagan talked to me about the fact that government's not the solution to our problems. Government is the problem. So my message to the Democrats and independents...
Then why do you fucks keep wanting to be part of government?
These guys, I would love for these guys to take a high school civics test.
We've elected celebrities and...
I demanded that a congressman that I was arguing with on Facebook take the citizenship test. DHS has it on their website, and he showed me his results, and it was 100%. But he argued with me that one of the answers was wrong.
We've got to come together and unite.
That we're not a democracy.
You know,
We're a republic.
We're a democracy.
I think it should be gauged versus other states, but I'd like to see...
What they mean is we're not a direct democracy, and nobody said we were, you dumb fucks.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know that Ronald Reagan was lying, because I don't know that Ronald Reagan was, I don't know that he knew fucking anything. He had fucking Alzheimer's.
Question about preserving our neighborhoods at the same time. Assemblyman, this is to you. Linda Merkel.
Are you asking me to explain that to you? Because I can, Tones, but I feel like that's a rhetorical question, and you're posing it towards the
Well, it's a great question because housing is
right winger
as to why the American dream is falling apart in California. There was a recent survey that showed that
the theoretical right winger that I brought up.
The kids growing up in our state today will be worse off than their parents, and it's why more and more people are packing up U-Hauls.
That's already happened.
Last year, for the first time in California's 100.
Towards Rudy.
Our population declined. It's truly staggering. You know, this used to be the state where anyone could get ahead. Now it's the state that many can't wait to leave behind. And our soaring housing...
I think you can still get head in California, can't you?
Promised a Marshall Plan on housing, but he has not produced any...
Get head?
You can get head in California, can't you?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I thought.
That he promised. All the while,
he said you can't get head in California anymore because of the Democrats. And
that's up 20%.
That'd be the kind of thing that would turn me against the Democrats.
So you can get a good job.
Well, I mean, the Democrats are pretty sex positive.
That's what I thought.
Until you're in your 40s. So it's very...
It's like, it's just because this dude is like married to some Republican woman, he ain't getting no head.
Well, then he has to make sure that nobody else gets any either.
We can eliminate all of the fees.
Well, it's like that fucking Tones, that story that we read earlier, where it was like, it wasn't like rape of a dementia patient they were charging her with. It was incest. It was like, it's illegal to have sex with your mother or father. Like, what kind of state do you have to live in where that has to be written into the law?
Alabama.
It was actually Virginia, but
okay, close enough.
Substitute their judgment through legislative fiat to accomplish their goals in Sacramento, whereas they may not.
Legislative fiat. What does that even mean?
Pick a city.
They have no idea.
If it's if you're enacting a law through legislation
in a timely fashion,
then it's not fiat.
My sisters and I are.
I don't think they know what this shit means. I think they just want to throw buzzwords out there.
Right. They heard somebody say fiat currency once, and they're like, "Oh, I want to use that in a sentence."
Yes, you're right, RB. It's all about defending the Electoral College.
It needs to be changed so that within the general plan area that a community adopts and which they finalize an EO.
Tones, if it had been in West Virginia, then the West Virginia governor would have said that it would have made him have to pee and then throw up.
Over again. The commercial project meets the intention.
Did you watch that clip from the other day?
Fundamentally.
No.
You didn't see the West Virginia. You need to go back and watch that. I shared out like the 1 minute little clip on Facebook, and it's got my like, I don't get enough props for that joke I made at the end. Somebody says that the governor is going to need a bucket, and I'm like, get him a bucket, get him 2 girls, 1 cup, whatever the fuck he needs.
So a lot of them are going to rent. Greg Lee points out that rent in San Francisco is the highest in the nation. What do you do about that?
It is too expensive, as we talked about earlier, and Californians are leaving and voting with their feet.
I don't know what. No, they're not.
Is nothing.
People leave, but people come in. That's the way it's always been with California.
To make a change.
That's what it is with every state.
Who's actually going to put
Oh no,
I
you've
moved
got
to
like
Arizona,
Florida.
I
Florida's
left.
where people go and retire, and like Arizona is a big retirement kind of community.
Through a process.
Yeah.
Well, like
I moved to
California's like
Arizona
where
and
you
I
go
left.
when you're young and you want to make it and everything. And then once you make a little money and everything, you get established, you move out of the state and you take a job somewhere else.
Right.
San Diego by going over the
But a lot of these companies that are doing telework now, some of the people that work for them are like, oh, I can move somewhere that is less expensive and make the same amount of money and live in a cheaper place.
Yep. That's one of the reasons why I love freelancing, because I'm competing with people that, are asking for much higher wages. But I live in Alabama, so
along our transit corridors. We can make it easier to construct.
I honestly send invoices to, like, I actually have a client in the Bay, and I've wondered about, like, if I moved out there, if they would actually, because they could use me for other shit.
Yeah.
But whenever I send them invoices, I think they're always, like, amazed at how cheap it is.
He points out last year we broke a record. There are fires burning.
And I feel like I'm fucking charging them, like, more than what it's worth.
4.2 million. What would you do differently on California's fire prevention plan that the governor isn't doing now?
Oh, God. This is going to be trash. Make them break the forest.
Oh, that's exactly what it is, right?
May or may not be causing these fires, but we've got to deal with them. First of all, we should be doing better forest management. We should be cleaning out the brush and the dead trees. We also
There it was. That's the one.
Suppression response. Right now, we're spending $4 million a day on that train to nowhere that 3 people are going to ride.
Like, seriously, every single one of these Republican fucks say the same goddamn thing over and over again. They've been saying the same thing for 40 fucking years. When are they ever going to shut up?
Never. Not until they die out.
And the last thing would be to...
I mean, look at this dude. It shouldn't take that long, right?
I was just gonna say, from the looks of this guy, it's not gonna be that long.
Because we used to have
A couple of these guys on that panel. The way fucking Bug Eyes fucking Micro Machine Man talks, you would expect that his heart would explode from a fucking cocaine overdose here pretty soon as well. So,
I seriously think he was trying to copy Ben Shapiro.
Not just sit and throw up...
Or that one fucking lawyer lady, that Scientologist lawyer lady that Dave plays every once in a while. I can't even remember what her name is.
Oh, I don't think I'm familiar.
Oh, God. 16 Tones might be able to remember. Oh, I can't remember what her name is, but she's like, yeah, she takes a breath and then fucking, it's off to the races.
It's Wednesday night. The Electoral Dollar Tree is on, isn't it?
It is currently influencing...
It is.
I'll be dumping you guys over there whenever we get done with this.
The Confucius Institutes.
16 Tones, that lawyer chick that goes up and speaks once in a while who fucking is a Scientologist and she talks hella fast. I cannot remember what her name is. And I can't ask Dave right now because he's streaming. I'll get yelled at.
Protecting the civil rights of our patriotic Chinese American professors, staff, and students at the universities.
Yeah, I'll dump you guys over with HK and Dave here in just a little bit. We'll have a little more fun with this governor's debate, though. Also, of course, I've got a puppy video. No, I don't have a puppy this time. I got a horse.
That's going to stand up and protect it and call it out when those international bad actors are doing the wrong thing. I will have no problem doing that.
Is that code for China?
A lot of time while I was mayor, working to get USMCA across the finish line, because how do we compete with China? It's about North America.
Not Sidney Powell, not the Kraken.
No, not Sidney Powell.
It's one of the hosts on the Scientology TV, right?
No. It's
the benefits of that. I saw it first.
I've never came in for the Scientology. I guess I just missed that. It's Thursday nights, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time he's done Scientology, he's just thrown it like, oh, let's watch what's live on Scientology TV. And I'm like, no. It's always really well produced.
Come out and do the right, and don't be afraid to call them out on it. That's, I think, the most important thing.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. What do you say about the Confucius Institutes and this foreign political influence on our university students coming from the Chinese and other foreign governments?
What the fuck kind of question was that?
Communist Chinese Party, and there's no question about it. It's an unaccountable party that controls that country, that feels it's going to control dissent. It censors its people.
Well, that's what the Republicans want here.
In other words, it's Sacramento. We've got to stand up to this. Listen, we want to have a great relationship with every country in the world, but we also have to protect what our businesses have generated in this country. And as the mayor said,
but now you can't count out these fucks, right? Because California has a habit of, for some reason, electing Republican governors.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we produce.
This is live right now. This is the California governor's recall debate.
When we found out that we didn't make enough ventilators, we didn't have enough supplies for testing and other things in the pandemic. We need to make sure that we stop chasing business out of the state. That's what the politicians.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
For too long had been doing the business, not just in California.
There's been like more than one moderator, hasn't there? Like they've gone back and forth.
Yeah, there's a couple.
There's a couple nice looking guys out there. There's like a Ted Danson looking dude that like I'd totally get with. Not
Lee
this dude.
Dundas.
I don't like this dude.
Lee Dundas. That's her name. Lee Dundas.
That's the lawyer on Scientology.
Yeah. She's fucking. Oh wow. She's fast.
And malign activity.
This is actually one of the most interesting questions that our country faces right now. It's not the UC thing I'll get to. CCP, as you know, is engaged in a systematic effort.
The goose!
It's been going on for at least 30 years. They started in agriculture. They've taken our tree technology, our livestock technology.
They've taken our tree technology. Holy shit.
I know.
2011, called On Channel. Small print, but enlightening. I commend it to you to read.
I mean, I'm assuming that means something like logging technology or something, but they've taken our tree technology. They came over and stole some of our fucking trees and planted them.
Right. Copyright infringement and everything.
Owning the IP that comes out. I'm not sure that's a state or a federal issue. I would prefer it be a federal thing for all universities across the country, but we can do it here if we have to.
They stole the forest sweeping tech.
Yep.
We're not shooting bullets yet, but we are at war with.
We're shooting blanks. You know this guy is, right? His wife
Every
gave
time
him the
it's like
snip.
Every time it's like a poof of dust.
Do you guys remember the SNL skit from back in the like early 90s called It's Pat?
Yes.
That was that guy that was over
Syria with Iran.
the moderator's shoulder.
For the UC system and for the CSU system as well.
Well, it sounds like something certainly worth looking at. With the UC, it's a little complicated because they're constitutionally independent. The state can't regulate them in the same way that they can the CSUs. But the problem
Wow.
is one that I have a great deal of familiarity with. When I was in private practice, I prosecuted the civil case against Huawei Technologies for intellectual property theft, and this is in the public documents in the case. They had stolen this cell phone.
Well, that's making my dick hard. I'm down with that.
And then basically tried to steal the IP. And the Wall Street Journal, in a front page article a couple years ago, cited our case as the basis for the federal action that followed against Huawei Technology. And so it is a very serious issue, and we need aggressive action of this on the federal level as well as.
He's got nice teeth. I want those teeth.
I'll also add, by the way, intellectual property in California.
No. Seriously, like that's my next step in life. Like
I'm on the Judiciary Committee.
If I leave streaming, it's to take an actual job just so I can buy teeth.
Back bills that seek to create new This is just one of the many ways, reasons that California is routinely rated the top.
I don't know if I've ever told you the story. Like I had my front tooth knocked out by my best friend, my ex-best friend when I was a little kid,
Sites of censorship that they've become.
Like 20 years ago.
Was a resolution to.
He told me that it would fall out in about 10, and I would need a new one. I'd need a bridge, whatever the fuck, 2 crowns and a bridge.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. I have 2 questions left, so I'll ask two of you each. The first
This dude, this Ted Danson looking guy, I'd fuck him.
Right.
in 30 days, the Orange County Board of Education sued Governor.
Whether or not he was wearing a dress.
He's got pretty eyes. Look at him.
What do you believe you could do to
Those eyes look like I will invite you over for a nice dinner with a pairing of wines, and then later I will chain you in my basement.
Oh, Tones, you don't like a silver fox.
So I would terminate the state of emergency on day one. Parents
Not that silver fox.
decisions for themselves. But
Are you talking like a Anderson Cooper? Then yeah, probably.
Oh yeah,
Like a Keith Olbermann.
of all the 50 states.
Oh yeah, I'd do Keith over.
States, we had the longest.
I don't know. Keith seems like kind of a top. I'd have to let him do me, wouldn't I? Cooper's a bottom. I could be in the middle.
Yeah, Andy Cohen is definitely the one in charge of that relationship.
Yes, I'm not ageist, Crix.
Have you ever seen the clip of them taking the shots of tequila?
No.
On New Year's, yeah, it was one of those rockin' New Year's Eve parties or whatever. Before, I think it was like 2019.
Oh yeah, I did see a clip of Cooper drunk at.
Like trying to take a shot of tequila. It was hilarious.
My last girlfriend was like 56, 57.
In the very first round of questions tonight, Christina asked you about mask mandates.
You wouldn't know it from looking at her, though. That's why she was into me. Like she was like, I don't like guys my age.
Told me repeatedly the California Constitution empowers the governor.
We went to concerts together.
Powers. Would you use those powers to mandate that there be no masks required in any public school of elementary schools in California if you win the recall?
Well, I will tell you, I was just like some of them in here, strongly oppose mask mandates in public schools. Our parents are
what an idiot!
Well, you're gross.
For our kids, and to see what this governor has continued to do with the mandate approach is the wrong approach. And it's time and time again. It's not just on what we're seeing right now, but it's also when we went through last year, open and close. We had businesses in California that were open and closed 5 and 6 different times. We had
yes, we should have done a rent freeze, mortgage freeze, paid everybody to stay home, kept everything solvent.
That's the type of stuff that you lose confidence in.
I agree with him in the sense that we shouldn't have opened and closed.
I got to press you on this, though.
We shouldn't have left that uncertainty out there. That is what drove mental health issues.
But to forbid them.
That's something I would look into doing here, 100%.
Look into doing or do? Do. Now I want to switch to homelessness for Congressman Ossie and John Cox. Federal.
Oh God, this is gonna be horrible, isn't it?
Spending and programs away.
Like in California, Republicans have just like a fucking disdain for the homeless, right?
There's like put them in work camps, put them in jails, get them out of here. Like, let's make ordinances where they can't set up camps or, no sleeping on the sidewalk or blah 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 blah. It's basically just like legislate them out of the areas where they could occupy and be comfortable.
And not that the Democrats are good on the issue by any means, but they at least, don't come across as just sheer evil.
Yeah.
Los Angeles to do something about their homeless problem, and that's the problem here. They passed a huge tax increase, as we know, and the money wasn't spent. I met with a gentleman in the real estate business who told me that he had been asked by Mayor Garcetti to actually handle it, and he told me that most of the money hadn't been spent. And you know why? Because the cost of building was outrageous. They were getting quotes of $500,000, $600,000.
What's he wanting the money to be spent on, though?
Units. I build in Indiana for $100,000 a door, and it's not the land cost; it's the regulations and the cost of building. What we've got to do is solve the.
I think it's the value of the land in California. It's
to attack the cost of building in the state. We've got to get approvals faster. We've got to reduce the mandates. We've got to reduce the litigation. We've got to speed up the approvals. And then we've got to have the people demand that their officials use the money wisely. I'll tell you what, when I'm the governor of this state, we're going to go after every jurisdiction in California.
You are not going to be the governor of this state. This is the goose.
Every agency.
Right, it is the goose.
The goose.
I think.
President Trump added a number.
That poor girl looks so bored up there in the corner.
The Ninth Circuit is considering whether to leave it with Judge Carter or give it back to the city and county of Los Angeles. What do you want the Ninth Circuit to do?
So I want to go on record here thanking Judge Carter for slapping the elected leaders of L.A. on their performance on this issue. He basically said,
Slapping. Oh, this is the goose.
that's what he said. That's the way the system works. That was the message.
I miss the goose to somebody else.
And the Ninth's going to look at it. Look, I am just done waiting for somebody's solution on homelessness. 75.
It's just a palpable hatred.
Drug addicted or mentally ill.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of funds at the state or local level. Did you know that currently in the state today, there are 41 separate programs across 9 separate agencies?
Well, you know, I bet if you gave each homeless person $10,000, you said there's no shortage of funds.
Homelessness and the number.
I bet like 70, 80% of them like just go right back into society.
To the approach. Judge Carter did the right thing. He called them out. I'm calling them out today.
I think I've got data to back that up as well.
We need to change.
Give the homeless homes, and most of them just reintegrate into society. They get jobs on their own.
Yeah, because you have a house, and it makes it easier to do so.
They actually want to be productive members of society.
Perhaps time for a closing statement.
They just
When they're allowed to also be a human.
Yep.
You control appointments. You get a lot of chances to hire and fire people. Who stays? And who
I don't like this guy. He looks like he should be in a Disney movie.
Considering the way this government is run, that's
Like he's Gaston's little buddy, right?
Yeah.
You know, the first thing I'll do as the governor is order an audit of every agency, as well as an evaluation of its worth and its beginnings, as well as what it's actually doing. Caltrans.
Because he wants to, slash education and the environment, anything that protects people.
It costs twice as much to build a road in California as it does in Texas. That's outrageous, and we all know we're
Well,
paying.
move to Texas and build your roads, dude.
That's got to change. We know how bad.
I am tired of them comparing themselves to other states. I live in the reddest state. We rank last at fucking everything.
Yeah.
California is not top of the list, but they are way, way better than we are. You guys are like what, 11th, 12th, and fucking everything?
Yeah, something like that. Unless it's rent costs, and then we're number one.
Yeah.
Business that I turned around.
I was talking about education outcomes and
the management.
Mayor Faulkner, this question from our colleague Carla Marinucci from
You do have higher taxes, though.
You have the power to reverse the Governor Newsom's first-in-the-nation move to expand Medi-Cal to undocumented immigrants that are elderly. Would you do so?
Yeah, that's the wrong approach.
Oh, it was just
God
the elderly?
fucking forbid.
We're a very welcoming state. We take care of people. We provide emergency services.
But
as we
there's
continue
going to be but.
cost after cost,
But
you are taking what was meant to be insurance programs and turning them into welfare programs. That's unsustainable. We can't do that. We're kind-hearted in California, but we have to say, here's what we're going to do and here's what we're not going to do. Let me also get back to that last question because I feel very strongly about that. It's time for a whole new team of people in California at all of our agencies.
This dude kind of looks like the villain in Ferris Bueller.
Who believe like us. The changes that we need to do. The governor actually has about 4,000 appointments. So the folks out there who want
Lydia's dad on Beetlejuice.
we're going to need you. On my very first day as mayor of San Diego, I brought in the first female police chief in the history of San Diego, Chief Shelley Zimmerman, because we had a problem with some very few officers in our department.
Well, a cab to her as well, sir.
Incredibly important that is to the culture. To have men and women that are going to put their all into it, are going to be reform-minded. That's what we need to do at the state of California, and I will do that on day one.
Assemblyman, you are an attorney.
I want my sandwich.
The ability to appoint judges, which are so important to policy in this state. What is your judicial philosophy, and what does a judge look like that you're appointing?
Oh, this dude.
I appoint judges that would uphold the Constitution and that would set the parameters for our politics, that would not seek to...
Oh, he's coming down. He's not as fast as he was earlier.
Politics.
His jaw is probably creaking.
us when Assemblymember James Gallagher and I took Governor Newsom to court for abusing his emergency powers. We had seen very early, in the very early stages of COVID-19, that he was using executive powers, emergency powers, in a way that our Constitution does not envision, to actually make policy, to usurp the role of the legislative branch. So we took him to court in
I can't speak to the Constitution of California.
As attorneys, and we won a trial and set
But I'm assuming he had the power to do the shit he did.
now seeking review by the California Supreme Court in order to uphold a very important principle, which is that we have a separation of powers, we have the rule of law, we have the Constitution, we have checks and balances, and even in an emergency, especially in an emergency, we need to have a representative government. And so we're hoping to get a ruling for the California Supreme Court that will be a very important precedent that we will never have one-man rule in California again, and I will certainly look to appoint justices, whether at the Supreme
One-man rule?
who will be of that mind.
Congressman, as governor, you have the power to declare states of emergency. Are there any states of emergency that you would declare in that job?
I think the governor's power in this aspect needs to be constrained. I would go to the
He said
legislature,
OC.
voluntarily ask them
Doug OC.
on the
OC.
I like the goose better.
Right.
to declare prospectively. That's the problem we're dealing with right now, is that there's no...
I might even vote for him if his name was actually the goose.
that the governor is exercising all of this authority from. So
No, he seems like a da fuck.
from an executive standpoint...
Yeah, I crashed and burned on that one.
About this at the outset. We're building water storage, folks. I'm firing the people who are in the way of that. We're keeping criminals in jail. The people who are working with Governor Newsom to change the rules by which criminals can get out of jail early, that's over. Those people are gone.
Yeah, you guys have some progressive DAs out there. In like what, San Francisco? I think LA elected a DA that was somewhat progressive.
Now what they're getting mad at now is releasing people from jail who are in for nonviolent offenses or who are close to getting out, or they are at risk of getting COVID.
Well, you gotta love that they talk about like, oh, I'll defend the Constitution. Then like, let's lock up as many people as we can.
Yeah.
So, Mr.
Oh, we're in the lightning round.
Something embarrassing your kids would tell us about you.
Oh, boy. That my wife doesn't like my nose hair.
Okay.
That all my white sheets have holes cut in them.
I love to cycle when I have the time, and I've been a big supporter of the Challenged Athletes Foundation. A shout out to everybody who's watching. They're training for their big ride from San Francisco to San Diego, raising funds for challenged athletes. I love to get out on the bike.
Ambassador Kylie, what's your favorite restaurant?
I bet that is a nice bike ride from San Francisco to San Diego.
Oh God,
Whoa.
You know how long that is? That's so far.
They do it over like a week or something, right?
It's like 10 hours by car.
It's close to the capital, but there's actually 2 offshoots of it in my district. Unbelievably good Chinese food.
You didn't say French Laundry.
Never been. Apparently, I'm one of the few politicians in California who hasn't.
Fucker's not cool enough to get into French Laundry. Thomas Keller, take one look at that guy and say, "Get the fuck out."
It's the same talent I wear on my sleeve. I get things done.
Okay. Very nice.
Oh, this guy isn't he fun?
We are out of time, unfortunately, and the dreaded closing statements will not be closing the debate. I do, however, want to thank each of our candidates tonight, John Cox, Kevin...
Oh, go fuck off. All right, Winch, you want to watch a doggy video? No, horse. I got a horse video.
A horse video.
A little girl wanted to take her horse to a tractor supply store. That's such a southern thing. I think this happened in Tennessee.
Nah, it's a Cottonwood thing too. There's people up north that want to take their horse in.
Apparently, she'd always wanted to take her horse shopping with her. Like, this was like one of her dreams that came true.
Yeah. Let's take the 500-pound skittish animal into the fucking store.
I can send it to you.
I feel sorry for it. Like it seems like it's having a hard time walking on the laminate. A little slick on its hooves.
It definitely feels weird, I'm sure.
It's a pretty horse, though. A Tractor Supply is more like a Kmart than I thought it was.
Yeah, Tractor Supply is like the Walmart for ranchers.
I've never been in one. I don't think.
All right, you can get some cool flannels there.
Do you wear a lot of flannel?
Me? No.
Well, you see, you're like, well, you can get a lot of cool flannels there.
Well, I mean, I did grow up in fucking Red Bluff in the fucking during the grunge period. Back then, we wore a lot of flannels. You wear a flannel and you also tie one around your waist. That's how you wear flannel.
Do you see the horse's tail? It is
Yeah.
braided. It is so cute.
Yeah. So it doesn't fucking whip fucking shit all over the place.
Oh, I figured
Doesn't
she
feel
was just,
good to get whipped by a fucking horse tail.
I think she's just showing off. She's not really shopping.
Yeah, she's just like, look what I did one time. I took my horse to the store.
It was something she wanted to do. I guess they arranged it ahead of time.
Didn't
Maybe
even
with
chop.
the COVID restrictions, they got less people or something.
Didn't even make the horse wear a mask, dude.
Well, it is Tennessee, so you know.
Shit.
They are not only anti-mask in Tennessee. They are like, if a business tries to make you wear a mask, we're gonna come and tell them no. All right, Media Winch, thank you for joining me. I'm going to dump the chat in Echoplex. It is time for the intellectual Dollar Tree. Producer Dave and HK will take really good care of you. Anything else you want to say?
Vote for Newsom.
Vote Newsom. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live. Apparently, some people